Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. It happened outside a dog shelter. That's where this all began. Or maybe ended. She was crouched next to a golden retriever, fake laughing for a stranger's Instagram story. I stood behind her holding the leash of a dog she had no intention of adopting, wondering how many more Saturday mornings I'd spend pretending things were fine. I reached down, lightly touched her hand. She didn't even flinch. She yanked it away. "Get off me. It's embarrassing." She didn't whisper it, didn't pull me aside, just said it loud and flat like I was a mistake she kept making in front of other people. And they all heard. I saw one of the shelter volunteers look at me, then quickly look away like she felt it too. The slap that wasn't physical. I didn't say a word, just stuffed my hands in my jacket and pretended the sky was worth staring at. She went back to laughing for someone else. Later that day, she said she was going to reset her energy at a yoga class across town. I offered to drive. She declined. I followed anyway. It wasn't yoga, not even close. She parked behind a shuttered nail salon. A man, tall, clean-cut, unfamiliar, was already waiting. He didn't hug her like a friend. He kissed her neck like someone with history. I watched her melt into him. I don't know how long I sat there in the car. Long enough for them to disappear behind a side door. Long enough to hate the air inside my vehicle. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I wrote one word in the fogged-up window with my finger. Noted. I didn't confront her that night or the next. She came home glowing, woke me up just to tell me she was thinking of dyeing her hair a little bolder. I nodded. The next morning, I printed something at the office, folded it neatly, and slid it into her purse without a sound. It was a photo. The one I took from my car, him in that doorway. She didn't mention it. Not for days. She just got quieter, nicer. Almost sweet, the kind of sweet people get when they know they're standing on a trapdoor and don't know when it'll open. She didn't say anything the next morning. Not even her usual half-sincere, "love you," as she left for work, but I saw the slight pause before she grabbed her bag. She knew the photo was there. She'd seen it. She just hadn't figured out how to spin it yet. And trust me, Lindra could spin anything. I spent most of that day at my desk rereading old emails she'd sent me in our first year of marriage. She used to write like she couldn't wait to see me again. Now I was the one waiting for answers, for apologies, for a single sign that she still meant any of it. But I knew better. The woman in those emails didn't exist anymore. Maybe she never did. By Thursday, she tried acting normal. "You want me to pick up dinner?" she asked, like nothing was wrong. I nodded. She brought back Thai food, my favorite. And I swear for a second I almost fell for it. She sat across from me at the table, smiled too often, leaned in too much. Then she asked, "So, how was your week?" That's when I knew it was fake. She hadn't asked me that in months. I didn't answer. I just said, "You look tired." Her face cracked for the briefest second before she replied, "Just a long week." She thought I was going to explode, confront her, demand explanations. But that's the thing. She had taken so much of me already. There wasn't enough left to scream. I wasn't planning revenge. I was planning an ending. A quiet one. One that would echo louder than any fight. Saturday came, and she mentioned her networking brunch again. I said, "Have fun." She hesitated like she was waiting for a trap. There wasn't one. Not yet. She left in her little white car, the one I paid for. And as soon as the garage door clicked shut, I went to work. I opened the safe, pulled out the folder labeled mortgage. I scanned everything. I started moving things. Not money, not yet. Just plans, copies of keys, backup emails. I wasn't going to make a scene. I was going to disappear from her world the same way she disappeared from mine. Gradually, painfully, and completely. That night, she came home early. No perfume, no lipstick. Her eyes were red. She walked in, slow, dropped her bag, and sat beside me on the couch. Took her a full minute to speak. "Ellis, Did you see something? I turned the volume down on the TV, looked her straight in the eye. I saw enough. She looked like she wanted to cry. Maybe she already had. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was stupid. It didn't mean... Stop. I cut in, calm as ice. Don't ruin it more with lies. Silence. She reached for my hand, and I pulled away. Not fast, not dramatic. Just enough to let her feel what I felt that day at the shelter. You said I was embarrassing, so don't pretend you missed this now. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. That's when I stood up, walked past her, and went to bed. No slamming doors, no yelling, just one man reclaiming the last piece of himself. She wanted the touch back, but what I wanted was peace, and I was just getting started. She stayed on the couch for hours that night. I could hear the occasional shift of her weight, the creak of leather as she leaned forward, maybe hoping I'd come back and say something more. But I didn't. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to nothing but my own breath and the distant sound of her regret settling in. For once, I didn't rush to fix what she broke. When I woke up, she was already in the kitchen. The smell of pancakes filled the air, her way of peace offering. I hadn't seen her make breakfast in months. She didn't even like pancakes. They were my comfort food. She stood there in an old college hoodie, pretending everything could be sweetened with syrup and fake smiles. "You hungry?" she asked without looking at me. I pulled a chair out but didn't sit. "You really think pancakes erase what you did?" She froze, spatula hovering midair. "I'm trying, Ellis." "No," I said. "You're panicking." She turned the stove off. For a moment, I thought she might hurl the pan across the room. Instead, she just placed it gently on the counter and leaned on it, both hands flat, head bowed. "I messed up," she finally whispered. "I know I did, but it's not like you've been here either." There it was, the blame transfer. The oldest trick in the book. I tilted my head. Because I didn't flirt with strangers. Because I didn't start hiding my phone or coming home reeking of another man's cologne. I felt alone, Ellis. You stopped seeing me. "No," I said quietly. "You stopped being worth seeing." That broke something. Her eyes welled up fast, but I didn't reach for her. Not this time. She wasn't crying because she missed me. She was crying because the man who used to chase her tears was done chasing. Later that afternoon, she texted me while I was upstairs. "Can we talk later properly, please?" I didn't reply. She started trying harder after that, coming home earlier, sitting beside me on the couch, laughing at shows she used to mock, asking if I wanted to go for walks. But I didn't want a rehearsed version of her. I didn't want the polished, guilty mask. Then, 3 nights later, I got the notification. A $64 charge at a boutique hotel across town. Our joint card, her name, her mistake. I walked downstairs holding my phone, screen glowing. "This was yesterday," I said, tossing it gently on the coffee table. She glanced at it, her face going pale. "I was just meeting him to end it," she stammered. I nodded. "So romantic. Ending affairs in hotels." "I didn't touch him. I swear. I just needed to say it face to face. And I needed honesty. You remember what that looked like?" She folded into herself, arms across her chest. "I don't know how to fix this." "That's the first true thing you've said." And with that, I grabbed my keys, left the house, didn't say where I was going. I just drove, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a ghost in my own life. I let her sit there in the silence she created, because now it was hers to carry. 2 days passed. She didn't bring it up. Not the hotel, not the charge, not the photo, not a word. It was like she hoped silence could cover up her guilt. Like makeup covers a bruise. But I wasn't the same Ellis anymore. I had stopped playing the fool the second I saw her lie to my face with her hands still smelling like another man's cologne. The strange part, I didn't even feel angry anymore. Not the red-hot rage you'd expect. I felt something worse. That heavy, aching indifference is what happens when you love someone so much for so long that when they betray you, your heartbreak gets tired before your voice does. I was done yelling, done pleading. All that was left in me was clarity. She tried to act like we were rebuilding. Cooked dinner. Put her phone face up on the table. Laughed a little too loud at my dry jokes. Even wore the shirt I said I liked 2 years ago. I let her play the part, but I was watching. On Saturday, she went to run errands. She left her bag on the kitchen chair. Something she never did before. It wasn't trust, it was carelessness. She thought I was back in orbit, circling her world again. I opened it, not because I needed more proof. I already knew, but I needed understanding. I needed to see what kind of lie she'd been living behind my back. At the bottom of her purse, tucked between a pack of gum and a scrunched receipt, was a motel key card. Plain, generic, no branding. Just a red sticker on the corner with the number 312. She'd been careful. Deleted messages. No perfume, no late-night slips, but she forgot this. It felt poetic in a pathetic kind of way. The token of her betrayal left like a breadcrumb she didn't think I'd follow. When she got home, I was at the sink, washing my hands like I had something dirty to scrub off. "Hey," she said too cheerfully. "Want to order in tonight?" I dried my hands slowly. "How was room 312? She froze mid-step. Her eyes darted to her purse like it might save her. She didn't even try to lie, just stood there unraveling. "That was weeks ago." She whispered, "You've been lying for months. What's another few days?" She opened her mouth, then closed it again. There it was, the collapse. The moment the liar runs out of script. She sank into the nearest chair, like her body gave up on pretending. "I don't know why I did it," she said finally, staring at the floor. "He made me feel wanted, like I was someone again." "And I made you feel what?" "Invisible." "No," I said. "Safe." Safe? The word hit harder than I expected. Because she was right. I gave her a soft place to land. A quiet life, reliability, and she wanted fire instead. Until the smoke filled her lungs, and she realized it burned too much. I said nothing. I walked past her upstairs and locked the door behind me. Not to keep her out, but to finally keep myself in. I sat on the floor, back to the wall, staring at the wedding photo she never bothered to take down. And that's when I started packing. Not my suitcase, her boxes. I packed quietly. No drama, no shouting, just a steady rhythm of folding what used to be her favorite sweaters. Sliding jewelry boxes into tissue paper, wrapping the perfume bottles she once wore for someone else. Every item I touched felt like a memory, with the volume turned down, muted, blurred, no longer mine. She was still downstairs, pacing, likely waiting for some emotional explosion I refused to give her. What she didn't understand was that the most dangerous kind of anger is the one that comes dressed as calm. When I finally walked back down carrying one of the taped boxes, she looked up with glassy eyes and choked out, "What? What are you doing?" I placed the box near the door. "Helping you move forward. You made your choice. I'm just clearing the path." She stepped toward me like her legs weighed more than they used to. "Ellis, no. We can fix this. I'll cut him off." "I already did. You don't need to do this." I tilted my head. "I don't need to. You slept with another man multiple times. You lied to me, gaslit me, humiliated me in public. Do you really think this decision is still yours?" Tears formed, but I didn't soften. I didn't step closer. I let her feel the space between us like a canyon she couldn't cross anymore. "You're just going to throw everything away?" she asked, voice cracking. I laughed under my breath. "You threw it away. I'm just cleaning up after you." She sat down on the edge of the couch, silent. I walked to the coat closet, pulled out her scarves, her boots, and tossed them gently into an empty box. She didn't move. I think part of her still believed this was a scare tactic, some emotional power play to guilt her into staying faithful. But it wasn't. I was done being the husband she took for granted. The man who excused every red flag because he believed love could fix anything. I left her one room untouched, her vanity. I figured if she wanted to look in the mirror and see what betrayal looked like, she deserved that right. The next morning, she was up before me, coffee in hand, eyes red from crying. She didn't try to kiss me, didn't try to touch me, just asked, "Are you serious about this?" I sipped my coffee. "You told me I was embarrassing. That was the last honest thing you said. Everything since has been a performance." She nodded slowly. "I guess I never thought you'd actually leave." "That's the thing," I said, standing. "You never thought I could." By the following afternoon, most of her things were boxed. I didn't hire movers. I didn't post anything online. I just loaded them into her car while she watched from the porch, arms wrapped around herself like it was the only thing holding her together. She didn't say goodbye. Neither did I. As she pulled away, she paused at the end of the driveway. For a split second, I thought she might roll down the window, say something, anything. But she didn't. She just drove off. And for the first time in years, I felt a strange, foreign sensation. Freedom. Days passed before she knocked on the door again. Not a call, not a text, just that soft, unsure knock I'd only ever heard when she wanted something. I didn't open it right away. I waited, let her stand in the awkward silence she once made me live in for months. When I finally swung the door open, she was standing there holding a small box and a face full of fake courage. "I left a few things," she said, her voice just above a whisper. "Can I get them?" I stepped aside and said nothing. She walked past me slowly, like she was hoping I'd stop her, start a conversation, maybe fall apart and beg her to come back. But I didn't. I watched her head upstairs, listened to the creak of the floorboards I used to fix while she scrolled through her phone. Back then, she was never really present, always half texting, half listening, and now she was fully alone. She came down 10 minutes later, holding a sweater, her curling iron, and an old photo album. I forgot it even existed. She ran her fingers across the front cover like it meant something again. "Do you want this?" she asked, not looking me in the eye. "No," I said flatly. She nodded like she expected that, but it still stung. Then she placed the album on the table and just stood there like she didn't know what came next. I could see it in her eyes. She was stalling. "You okay?" she asked. That question nearly made me laugh. "You okay?" Like I just stubbed my toe instead of watched my marriage collapse in real time. "I will be," I answered. She sighed. "I know you hate me." I didn't respond. "But I don't hate you," she added. "I miss us." That's when I finally looked up at her and said, "You miss being missed, not us. You miss what I gave you." She blinked a few times like she didn't know whether to argue or cry. Instead, she reached into her pocket and held something out to me. A bracelet, silver, simple. The one I gave her on our first anniversary. She hadn't worn it in years. "I thought maybe you'd want it back." "I don't. I can't wear it," she said softly. "Feels wrong now." "Then throw it out." She lowered her hand slowly and slipped it into the box. I didn't ask her why she really came back. I knew it wasn't for the sweater or the curling iron or the bracelet. She came back because she realized I meant it, that I wasn't bluffing, that this version of me wasn't the one she could manipulate anymore. At the door, she turned and said, "If you ever change your mind, I won't." I cut in. Not harsh, just final. She hesitated for a moment, then gave me one last look before walking out into the cold. When I shut the door behind her, I expected to feel sad, empty, maybe a little broken, but I didn't. I felt clear, because the man who used to hold her hand when no one else wanted to, he finally reached for his own peace instead. 3 weeks passed, no calls, no texts, just digital silence and a half-empty closet. I wasn't checking her socials anymore. I'd stopped torturing myself with pictures she probably curated to look unbothered. Truth is, I didn't care how she performed for strangers anymore. She chose distance. I gave her space, but I didn't expect her friend to show up instead. It was a rainy Thursday. I had just come back from work, soaked and too tired to care. As I stepped through the door, there was a knock, sharp, urgent. I opened it to see Belle, her best friend since college, standing there in a hoodie and jeans, arms crossed, looking uncomfortable as hell. "I need to talk," she said. She never came over alone, never even texted me unless it was to ask if I knew where Lindra was. So yeah, I knew something was up. I let her in. She paced for a few seconds before blurting out, "She told you everything, right?" "Enough," I replied, locking the door behind us. Belle sighed and sank into the edge of the couch like she didn't want to touch anything too long. "She's not telling you the truth, not all of it." I stayed quiet. Let her unravel. "She didn't just cheat with one guy," Belle said, eyes locked on the floor. "There was another, a coworker from that marketing event she went to in Denver." My breath caught, but I said nothing. She swore it was a one-time thing, but she bragged about it afterward. Said it made her feel alive. Belle looked up. I hated hearing it, but I didn't say anything because, well, she's my friend. "And now?" I asked. "She's still seeing him," Belle admitted. "She lied about ending it. I thought you should know." I leaned back, arms crossed, letting the truth settle where the lies had lived too long. I didn't cry. I didn't even flinch. I just nodded once. "Thanks for telling me." She got up to leave, but paused at the door. "For what it's worth, I think she's terrified you meant it, that it's really over." I nodded again. "It is." When she left, I stood alone in the hallway, eyes fixed on the spot where she'd sat. Somehow hearing it from someone else made it more real than ever. Not just the betrayal, the layers, the extent. She didn't trip once. She fell repeatedly, willingly. I didn't sleep that night. I walked around the house instead, touching things she'd left behind. A mug, a book spine, her favorite pillow. They were just objects now. Souvenirs of a woman who used to be someone I trusted. Someone who used to be my peace. At 3:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. "Lindra, are you awake?" I stared at the screen for a full minute. Then I blocked the number, and just like that, the door finally closed. I woke up the next morning to a house full of light. Felt strange. Not because the sun hadn't risen like that before, but because I noticed it. I actually felt it. For the first time in months, maybe years, the warmth didn't feel artificial. No tension in the air. No fake smiles. No walking on emotional glass. Just sunlight and silence that didn't hurt. Her things were gone. Her toothbrush, her slippers, even that old scarf she used to forget she owned until it snowed. The space she left behind should have felt cold, but it didn't. Felt like I could finally breathe in my own house. That weekend, I went to the farmer's market alone. It was something she used to complain about. Too many people, too slow, too boring. But I loved it. Always did. I bought fresh peaches, talked to a woodworker about custom shelves, and for once didn't check my phone every 5 minutes, hoping for a text that never came. On my way back, I saw a couple holding hands. It didn't sting this time. I didn't envy them. I just hoped they were kind to each other, that one of them didn't let the other slip through their fingers for the sake of attention or ego. I wished them well and meant it. When I got home, there was a letter in my mailbox. No return address. I knew the handwriting before I opened it. "You're probably still angry, or worse, indifferent. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Not for the lies, not even for the cheating, but for treating your love like it was replaceable. It wasn't. I see that now. There was more, but I didn't need to read it. I folded it up, walked to the fireplace, and let it burn. That night, I slept like a man who finally learned that peace doesn't come when you're loved by someone else. It comes when you love yourself enough to walk away. So, no, this isn't a story of revenge. I didn't destroy her. I didn't chase her down or scream or post anything dramatic. I just healed quietly, fully. And somewhere out there, she might still be telling herself that I'll change my mind one day, but I won't. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. If you've ever been in a relationship where silence said more than words, or someone tried to come back after walking away, tell us in the comments what you did. Did you forgive? Did you block them like I did? And if you felt something during the story, hit that follow. There's more real, raw, and unexpected coming your way right here on Reddit Confessions.